Life is based on three occurrences, the past and the present, to determine the future. But the present takes center stage with dreams, visions and plans propelling every community towards a better future. After attaining independence, Kenya has had its share of development, dreams and visions.
Where we had several five-year development plans ever since 1963. And we had a couple of significant long-term development plans. Social Paper number 10 of 1965 and Social Paper number 1 of 1986 being the most important ones. And even programs such as the District Development Focus of the 1980s. Now, all these were programs that were meant to transform the country but didn't quite succeed for various reasons.
In 2008, Vision 2030 was conceived with an objective of making Kenya a globally competitive and prosperous state.
The previous ones, the one of Social Paper number 10 of 65 and Social Paper number 1 of 86, were quite esoteric. Most people had barely heard of them in the public. They were known around certain circles of government and maybe the private sector. But if you ask most citizens, they were not part of that particular process. So Vision 2030 is a popular development plan in that it is public, its goals and objectives are public, shared by all of us. The two MTPs and even the initial Vision 2030 document process from 2005 involved a lot of stakeholder consultations across the entire country.
The master plan has been designed in a way that all three pillars coerce each other, founded on socio-economic and political pillars.
I cannot, as a manager, be satisfied with any pace. I would always want us to move faster. Obviously, we need better trained people in the public service. We need more engineers. We need a better education system. We need more teachers, better trained teachers. We need refresher courses for the teachers who are teaching us. So I can't sit here and say the pace is okay. No. Healthcare. We are yet to agree on how to reform the healthcare system to make sure that there's sustainable financing for healthcare. We are yet to agree on how to address affordable housing, to make sure that there's sustainable financing for affordable housing, and also affordable houses are being built so that most Kenyans can own their houses. So I'm not going to be one to say that I am sanguine or happy, but the fact is a lot has been done, and the pace at which we are moving now has never been seen before in Kenya.
The first five-year medium plan of 2008 and 2012 has come to an end, with most of the rolled out projects to become visible within the next phase.
The behind-the-scenes work of securing funding, finishing the designs, detailed engineering designs is very, very important, because when it's complete, then the projects are immediately put online. So a lot of work has been done in the first 5 years of Vision 2030 that will now be visible in the second 5 years in terms of actual contracts, actual infrastructure development on the road. And so I could cite many examples of projects. Konza, the land has been secured, the authority has been created, the master plan is complete, the master development partner has also been secured, but of course you will only see the project in the second MTP, right? But the preparatory work is so critical and so important that has been done. And that could be said for a number of projects under Vision 2030.
The ultimate goal of the social pillar is to improve the quality of life of every Kenyan through education and training, health, environment, housing and urbanization, further extended to social protection.
Hence the education reforms you're seeing right now, right? We have about 8 bills that have gone to Parliament this year. 2 have been passed, the Teacher Service Commission Bill and the Kenya National Examinations Bill, which is now an act of Parliament. And we have 6 others looking at education structure and system as a whole, looking at the curriculum, and with a view to making our education accessible to all, better quality, including better training of teachers, better facilities, better structure, and also more relevant, so that you can have children graduating out of our school system who are critical thinkers, who are problem solvers, who have real world skills, as opposed to people who go through an education system and learn by rote and cramming, and are so fixed in their time and static that when the world changes, they don't know what to do, because the world of 2030 is going to be a very different world. If you look also at the social protection, again, still a social pillar, one of the things as a society, we must find ways of making everybody work and earn their keep. That is the goal and objective of society. We should not have freebies or people who expect to be given. We must all earn our keep. But There will be those, a very few minority, who do need some help, who cannot take care of themselves. And so social protection is an important component of Vision 2030. And we now have a social protection policy in place already, but it's going to become a bill very soon.
What are some of the yet to be realized goals in the social pillar?
In terms of healthcare, we have a bit of a challenge there. We have certain proposals and structures, certain proposals in place, NHIF, but it looks like we need more stakeholder consultation. But we do need to reform NHIF, for instance. KEMSA has been reformed, the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency. We're going to have a number of referral hospitals, 8 to begin with. So you don't just have Kenyatta and Moi. We want to have 8 referral hospitals and eventually 1 referral hospital in every county. But that is eventually. If you look at affordable housing, again, we've got a bit of work to do there. And there's an informal settlements upgrade scheme that is being undertaken by the Ministry of Housing, because we feel that nobody should have to live in slums in this country. If you look at water, again, there's quite a bit of work to be done, but we have now begun on irrigation, which died many years ago with the Burt schemes dying those many years. But we're now going to start building dams, different types of dams across the country and water ponds. The restoration of the Mau water tower, it's an important part of the social pillar. So is the restoration of Aberdare, of Mount Kenya, which has already taken place quite significantly, and then Cherangani and Mount Elgon. These are important water towers.
The economic pillar targets a 12% GDP, though we are still below 7%, with the growth of the economy and more job creation to be realized within the 6 different sectors.
And the economic pillar's main objective in all those 6 sectors there, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, trade, financial services, and IT, is about creating jobs. And jobs in the millions. So all the projects, programs, and initiatives under there are about creating jobs.
The political pillar has also experienced changes with more independency within the judicial system, police reforms, and the electoral structure.
Unless you have right governance structures, right? Hence the political pillar, which focuses on an issue-based, people-centered, result-oriented, accountable democratic political system, which looks at governance structures being reformed for more advanced society. So, judicial reform. That is why you're seeing the vetting of the judges, a new Supreme Court, which was embedded in the new constitution, right? Security and police reforms, critical. We want a police force that's going to be transformed, more responsive to the public, much more dynamic in terms of respecting the human rights component of the constitution, but also more effective in terms of securing us. It's actually quite a robust set of objectives we're demanding of the police. On the one hand, they must treat us better, they must respect us more. On the other, they must secure us better. You know, and so those police reforms, civilian oversight, better remuneration, better facilities, better trained officers. The curriculum in Kiganjo has already been upgraded. It's longer now. Okay, it used to be 6 months, now it's 9 months. We're going to be having exchanges with the friendly countries of our senior police officers, so you can have a much more reformed and better police system. That is all in the political pillar.
But as Mugo explains, work behind the scenes towards the realization of Vision 2030 is more crucial and to some extent the most challenging too.
So there's a lot of challenges in terms of funding. Securing funding also can be tricky and slows us down sometimes. We have been, you know, the Nairobi Urban Toll project collapsed because the funding collapsed, right? So there are those kind of challenges. So funding, the ability to have the right caliber of people. We have got very good people, let me say that. If you look at the roads department, they've done what they've done because they've got good engineers. Same thing in rail. But we need more of them. We need more people who can do that, more project managers who have the skills to manage big, large projects. The behind-the-scenes work of securing funding, finishing the designs, detailed engineering design is very, very important, because when it's complete, then the projects are immediately put online. So a lot of work has been done in the first 5 years of Vision 2030 that will now be visible in the second 5 years in terms of actual contracts, actual infrastructure development on the road. And so I could cite many examples of projects. Konza, the land has been secured, the authority has been created, the master plan is complete, the master development partner has also been secured, but of course you will only see the project in the second MTP, right? But the preparatory work is so critical and so important that has been done.
Citizens are at times perceived as an impediment towards development they long and hunger for.
We also have to address the issue of corruption. I'm sorry, we have corruption, impunity. And impunity is not just what we see with senior public figures. It's all of us have impunity. So right from whether it is parliament, right, or people who are involved in mega corruption scandals, but the way we drive as citizens of this country, the way we allow people, we see people doing the wrong thing, and because they're our brothers or sisters, we allow them to do it. Or maybe because I want to benefit, I allow for impunity to take place. That must change. The mindset is a major, major problem in this country. Value systems. I would say, in fact, the biggest problem we have for Vision 2030 is a poor value system. We must address it. Why do we have filthy towns? Why don't we come together and say, if I live in Mombasa, I live in Kisumu, I live in Naivasha, I can't have this kind of paper strewn all over the place. Waste management must be better handled. Garbage collection must be better done. We have to develop a mindset that we refuse to accept mediocrity, refuse to accept uncleanliness, and that does not necessarily always require government programs.
Many still want to distance themselves with the development plan, and this is what Mugo has to say about it.
Vision 2030 is not a government program, it's a national development program in which the government has a role, the private sector has a role, civil society, faith-based organizations, all have a role, and we must all play our role. As a citizen, as an individual, you have a role. And I want to ask you, what is your Vision 2030, your own individual Vision 2030 plan? You as a person, what do you plan to be doing in the year 2030? What do you plan for your daughter and your son? You're taking them to school now. To do what in 2030? What is your family strategy for Vision 2030? What is your corporate strategy? What, as a church, what is your Vision 2030 strategy? As an institution, as a chama, what is your Vision 2030 strategy? Do you have one? If you don't, get one. And make sure that it's aligned to the National Development Plan Vision 2030. And once you have your own Vision 2030 plan, you can now stand up and say to the government of Kenya, we want these priorities in our National Vision 2030 plan. The idea, that is what we mean by ownership. When you own Vision 2030, it means you have aligned it to your own life. And you know what you want. And therefore you will damn well make sure that the government and your political leaders do what needs to get done to achieve Vision 2030.
For the next few months, Vision 2030 delegation is carrying out a countrywide awareness campaign dubbed Wakilisha to ensure citizens are not only aware of the progress but also be part and parcel of it. Henry Maina, GBS.